So does this mean that every person is going to have like their own agent as like a front line to defend against this? If everybody has their own agents, everybody has all this technology, does this make you like a slave to your agent and your technology? What's the scalable way to defend against that? Hey everybody, I'm Scott. I have a PhD in particle physics, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Deepgram. We've been building AI since before it was cool, and I've got a few things to say about where it's going next. Listen, there's a lot of noise in AI right now. Doom, gloom, hype, intrigue. This show is my attempt to cut through it as someone building in the industry. I'm going to tell you what's real and what isn't.
That has to still be a job. Telemarketing, call centers have to still be a job. People have to be able to walk into buildings, pick up a phone, call other people in this country, elderly people, drunk people, confused people, and swindle them out of retirement. It's literally our entire economy. I don't know what you think's going to happen when you get rid of that. If you destroy white-collar work, you're going to have all of these people in the street. Maybe algorithm-driven changes will happen slowly, giving workers plenty of time to adjust. Maybe white-collar types have 12 to 18 months left.
Yeah. I mean, you've already let the genie out of the bottle, the cat's out of the bag. Some other idioms here, like you got to fight fire with fire. Like, what's the scalable way to defend against that, right? Well, maybe AI agents is one, So does this mean that every person is going to have like their own agent as like a front line to defend against this? Like, I think so. Yeah, this is something I think about when I go home and visit my grandparents, and they are getting scam calls, and they are getting they're curious about things in life. They want to know things that are going on, but their vision is declining or whatever it is, right? Well, they should have this agent that helps them in their later life. This is like what a lot of the family does for grandparents out there. They're like, whoa, any scam that says they're a prince from Nigeria, this and that, like that's a scam. Like don't do it. If anybody's asking you to go get gift cards, like don't do it, etc. People still get nabbed on this. Well, what if you had an agent that was listening to all the calls that are coming in, and just like you use technology, the internet, computers, etc., to fight against hackers and that type of thing. But also hackers use that technology to try to attack, they're going to be running on the same substrate. You'll have agents, you'll have AI, you'll have it on both sides. So you got to fight fire with fire here. I'm reminded of the open internet early on. So you have, basically in the 80s, the internet is created. The 90s is when it starts to become popular, et cetera. But through that, 85-ish, to 95-ish era, the internet was very unsecure, basically. Like you could use it in all these different ways, and people hadn't found countermeasures yet, right? But high school kids created worms and infected people's computers, and they hacked into bank mainframes, and they did all sorts of things, right? But then you discover the attack vectors here, and then you generate a new, antidote to it. And so this is very, very similar to like your body and its mechanism to fend off diseases, et cetera, that type of thing. You kind of have to be exposed to it, then you develop an immunity to it, or you get better at handling it. I'm deep in this industry, which means I'm also deep in the blind spots. I'm surrounded in the echo chamber. You're out there in the world seeing how this stuff actually lands. If you're seeing something I'm not, let me know in the comments.
This is the revenge of the blue-collar trade workers. This is a reversal of the class system in America. Plumbers, electricians, union people that work with their hands, people that build things, they're going to fare better in this market than a lot of the white-collar people.
I think he's right. But also there's another part to blue-collar, which is like, what about all the administration work? What about the finding customers? What about whatever? If anybody's ever started a small business, they know that this is actually like a huge part of the business. And then the actual doing of the work is a small part of the business. And so if agents make it easy to do the other part, going out, finding customers, scheduling it, doing that type of thing, then what does it mean? A lot of folks who are doing that blue collar work will probably be happier because they're actually doing the thing that they like to do rather than answering the calls and that type of thing. But, there's some other economic pressure now too, because, well, you have more time to do the effective thing or the, plumbing, like going and doing the plumbing or welding or whatever it is, rather than all of this administration work. That means that the economy is probably going to get more efficient. And when that happens, prices will go down in order to do that increment of work. But if you, as a blue-collar worker, are able to do more of that work, if you're able to weld 20 things instead of 10 things, or if you're able to go to 2 houses and do the plumbing rather than 1 in the day, then even if the price is cheaper, you're still producing more for the economy, and then you're probably making more money. And so you remove these friction points that, like, most people don't want to be doing, and then they go out and do the things that can't be done by a machine. So it takes time for all of this to develop. It takes time for everybody to figure out what the equilibrium is. If everybody has their own agents, everybody has all this technology, does this make you like a slave to your agent and your technology, or does this actually like promote the dream and actually make it easier for people to take more control of their life and not have to sort of sign up to work for the man, the Borg? Seems kind of like a paradox, like, hey, more of the Borg, more of the AI means that I have more freedom to do these other things. But, I think it's helpful to look back at certain things like, what about plowing fields? When you used to hoe and like plant by hand, did that liberate in a way? Yeah, it produced calories cheaper. What about heavy machinery, lathes, mills, CNCs, that type of thing, rather than like a blacksmith having to do everything by hand? Did that increase their productivity? Like, there are still blacksmiths out there doing it for the art of it and for the love of it, making swords on YouTube and that type of thing. But, the world is in general just kind of better for all the productivity that was gained from this. And so for a lot of folks out there, there's so many people out there in the world that have a creative spark in them, that want to build things, that want to take more control of their life. But it is a complicated world, and all of the administrative tasks are there, and it's hard to do all of this stuff. I think certainly there will be a renaissance. I think of it a lot like making YouTube videos or making music or that type of thing. Early on, you had recording equipment, and it was sort of really hard to get, and so you had to spend the equivalent of tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in today's dollars in order to get that piece of equipment. But then even if you had that piece of equipment, so what? You made it, but now it has to be distributed, and it has to be distributed through this massive mechanism and whatnot. And then you only have like 3 or 4 network television ways to distribute what's there. And so there's only, there's only 24 hours in a day multiplied across 4 channels. And so like, that's it, that's not true anymore. Obviously, everybody knows there's, hundreds of thousands, millions of channels producing content and that type of thing. And it's been democratized. The access to doing things like this has been democratized. And so now there's going to be a democratization of building or like utilizing the tools that are out there. But essentially, it's you'll be able to program them yourself just by like complaining at the computer and saying, "I wish it could do this or that or whatever it is." Then the agent will build it for you, help you with the things that you need, and then you'll be like, "Why do I even need this SaaS software over here? Why do I need to spend $200 over there? I'll spend 30 cents on the tokens over here in order to do the thing that I would like to do." And it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. But does it turn into a social media thing, like where you just, doom scrolling and addicted to that, and then there are ads served all the time, and like that's all that it is? You're on that treadmill. Is there some other treadmill ahead of us, an agentic treadmill? We should fight against that, but we'll see. I don't know. I'd love to hear what people have to say about that. If you want to learn more and keep up to date with this quickly advancing world of AI, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. There's new episodes every week.